All right, everyone. Hello and welcome to Midnight's VLOOKUP sheet for your F1, your driver standings, your team standings needs using the VLOOKUP formula. So this is a finalized version, an updated video from what I last recorded and posted on YouTube. So everything is working through 37 rows of drivers. And I kind of want to cover everything in a quick video, in a quick manner, that hopefully is a lot more straightforward than the other two videos I created. And I also managed to create different things for the team standings, so no one's doing addition by hand and making any possible mistakes that way. So why don't we get right into it? First off, I'm going to start off with key. So you'll see key here as why you see all these different color codings. Everything's formatted. It has a conditional formatting to have a certain look in the grid results for their drivers. So winner gets one, second place, silver, bronze, green, blue for all, such and so forth. Did not starts, I label them as 0. DSQs labeled as DSQs. And those are labeled black. DNF, label DNF, and then everything else, right, is accordingly, it goes according to plan. So in terms of how things are put in here, as you can see, there's a whole bunch of VLOOKUPs in this. There's a big VLOOKUP formula here in this, as it goes on for every single row of drivers. So we have a range for these scores set up right here, and let me set up as well. So you can see feature race, sprint races, as we have feature race and sprint races in MRL in this season. So it's set up all the way through DNF, zeros, and DSQs. I made a note of 1 point goes to the fastest lap on this sheet. You'll see fastest lap row right here. You could probably ignore the conditional formatting for this row, but this is just a way to count. And this is included in these VLOOKUP formulas. So that's how everything's accumulated, right? As we go through and more results come in, and yellow's winning and winning and winning and winning and winning and winning, as we see his point total go up and up and up and up and up, and then other people just fill in on below. Just as you can see, the numbers kind of changing, right? We're seeing some things, even though some of these numbers are duplicates. Like, right, these wouldn't be the real results, but I'm just showing you, right? I'm putting numbers in this field. Things are changing over here. So now if I go ahead and delete all of this, boom, everything over here goes back to normal. And you're good to go. So as points change throughout the season, you're going to want to make sure you get your positioning correct, right? So position's always labeled right here. And you're going to essentially want to create filters. And the way you're going to want to do that is be very careful. You're going to start at the driver column, carry it all the way over to the fast elapsed column here, okay? And then you're going to want to highlight all the way down to this row here. You want to make sure you're excluding these like logos, the flag logos. You want to make sure you're excluding the bottom row of the schedule, so it's not included in the filters. So as you can see, we have highlighted the entire range of the drivers, and essentially just like the flags to represent the races and where they're being held. So we just hit our filter, create a filter button up here, and then boom, we're good to go. So as things change, you would go to your points, you'd sort from Z to A to get from greatest to least. As I can show you here, if I go sort from A to Z, it'll go from least to greatest. And it's also going to break the formulas. So that's normal. The formulas break, and that's okay. And so when that happens, and I'll sort it from least to greatest just to show you exactly what happens. And all these standings will stay the same. So now we see, okay, yeah, look at this. Yellow snowman's at the very bottom, just as we expected. And everything other than these three guys right here are working. So what we do here, essentially, well, why don't I do this? We don't know what the scores are, right? So, I mean, I could try to go back and do greatest to least, and as you see, nothing's happening, and now everything's messed up even a little bit more. But the standings are still the same. Yellow still got all these results. So what we're going to do here is I have a tab, the formulas tab, as you'll see here, and this is saved on the exact row and columns as each other tier, to make sure that when that happens, the formulas break. All you got to do is come over here, copy these rows and columns, go back to your tier that you're looking at, which we're looking at the NA tier. You go here to the very first first driver and points section. You hit boom, paste, and as you'll see, okay, we got it from a little mix, right? As we mixed it from least to greatest and greatest to least, and things just didn't know where to go. So now we'll get Mr. Yellow Snowman back up top by going least to greatest, Z to A, boom. And then the formula's big again. But guess what? I still have that formula copied. Just go paste, and here we go. Boom. Points are all accurate. Everyone's in the standings as they should be. Okay? So that's how you run it for every single tier. But now you'll also see there's a team sheet for every single tier as well. So with that, to go along with it, you'll see it's very limited. There's only, the 20 teams, so 20 rows of info. So you'll probably never, ever need to filter these. Just put in the results as according to the way the finishing results were. So like Ferrari gets first, and then Red Bull gets second, and so on and so forth, right? You fill it in accordingly. And then I put ignore here because you simply can't ignore this column. We're not caring about the gap right here because I have other things set up in a different way for team standings. So you have team standings here. This accumulates points here, right? You see their total. I'm able to take and collect their sum here in this standings below. And it was getting a little tricky trying to filter this box. So what I did was, on the main sheet, you'll see that there's still standings here. And I'm using VLOOKUP formulas in each of these. Since the addition's already done, now nothing's going to change whenever you want to filter these. All right, we'll unfilter the race grid. We'll filter over these teams, sort from least to greatest. You'll see everything's in order. Nothing's breaking. That's because all the addition's done. It's only one formula, so that's great. There's nothing you have to worry about changing here or breaking ever. And we'll go again from greatest to least. And yeah, so everything's accumulated here. And that's the exact way that things are formatted for each and every tier, including with to tie in with the team standings. You'll note at the very top, I just have some notes just to keep mind of what I've done, what I've completed, what was the last time I've made some updates. And then I think the last thing to talk about would now be the team totals. So there's, on the very first sheet is a team's total sheet. This one, again, there are some VLOOKUP formulas, but nothing should break here whenever you need to change this, just because everything's kind of fixed already. Everything's been done really well in the back end. I don't know how to explain it, but things are working, because if I go from least to greatest, greatest to least here, it's working out perfectly. I think, again, it's probably working out perfectly because there's only one name it's pulling from, and that's why things got tricky in the team standings, because I can't use a VLOOKUP pull from from Ferrari and add a sum here. I had to simply just do like sums. Anyways, I'm going a little too deep into how I built this. So I think, yeah, I showed everything. I haven't really dug in a lot to this formulas page. But again, right, this is important whenever your formulas break on the driver sheets. Just come here, copy this, paste it over, and that'll be good to go. There's some other, like a gap formula I have saved for each of the standings. And again, when you're filtering team standings in the driver page, you just want to select these two rows and columns. You probably wouldn't want to select the gap. You don't want to select the positioning. Those ones will stay unchanged. You want those to stay fixed. So just select the range you're looking to change. Right, like if I go A to Z here, look at that. Oh, these formulas aren't breaking. It's beautiful. Z to A, perfect. So now, again, going back to this formulas tab, I also have some notes here. When you add rows or need to add rows, if you're ever having more than 37 drivers in a season, you have a lot of reserves, you just simply got to add a column. You just got to add a row. As you see, we've got quite a bit of people who've reserved. I mean, I think my first step would even be considering like removing people like this who have DNF'd and not even scored any points. Um, or like this guy, because they haven't shown up the last 5 races or so either. So I would rather remove those guys from the league because they haven't scored any points. And if they do ever come back, we could just simply add them back on. And they hadn't had any points anyway. So where they finished or didn't finish doesn't matter. You know, in my views, when it comes to keeping the points. But yeah, you can insert a row to create a new row and be like, I need a new person. And then you'll essentially have to create a whole new formula for this person. But all of these formulas should have also changed. You should see this range here, Q48 through R41. That's this right here. Q49, 48 through 41. Boom. Or 71, excuse me. Right? Is that what it said? Back here, yeah, through R71, Q48 through R71. And that's exactly what I highlighted there. So all of these columns have been changed accordingly and they work still just as they should. Even these ones, as you'll see, the main cell should match what's this whatever's here, and this is cell 41, and that's what's showing right here, G41. So you would essentially just have to kind of do that for just copy. Could copy this entire formula into here, and then just change this G41 to G40 for 26 times or however many things that you have. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove that row and get that out of here. And as you'll see, yeah, now this range is back to Q47 through R71. But again, if you ever need to make a formula, I kind of have notes over here. You know, you hit A, VLOOKUP, here's your range, but your range can change. And then here's the formula for sprint races that you would want to use. And then this right here, G5, that's the column that you're looking up, right? So it would probably be, you would want to probably change this to the next one, 42, or if this is 43, or if you input something up sooner, maybe you're putting like 12. I don't know, because you just added someone like 12 at row 12. So that's how this works. Make sure, boom. And then you would essentially find your range for the sprint race here. And here's your range for the future race. And again, that'll change through what happens when you possibly add other rows to the drivers. But in that, if you don't do that, then you won't have to worry about creating any new formulas, changing anything like that. Yeah, I think that covers everything. So I have a blank slate F1 driver team standings. As I mentioned, this is an update to a previous video. I'm going to share this link that you can go ahead and feel free to make copies to use this. Oh yeah, I have this combined formulas. I think this is wrong. Oh no, it looks like I got things all. I don't know. Maybe that's wrong. Anyway, yeah, you can probably ignore that sheet. So yeah, I'll provide this link and this new updated video with this new updated video. Thanks everyone.